And welcome back to another episode of K Let's Go. Hello, and welcome to K Let's Go. Hello, and welcome back to K Let's Go. And welcome back to K Let's Go. Hello, and welcome back to K Let's Go. This is our 7th episode in our series, and today we have joining us two juniors. We have Matt Chen and Sophia Mulligan. Welcome to the show, guys. So before I begin, suggest that you guys check out our YouTube channel. We have a bunch of great content going out there every single week. I also suggest that you check out our website, kscopenews.com, and our Instagram. And now we can begin. So March 7th and March 8th were pretty interesting days in terms of royal family news. Oprah Winfrey and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle came together to do an interview, tell-all style type of interview, in which they discussed how and the royal family, their experiences in Buckingham Palace, and how all the events came together for them to leave. So I'm gonna be reading a couple of quotes from the interview, and then I'm gonna be getting some responses, hopefully, from Matt and Sophia. I don't know too much personally about the events that happened, but I'm sure that Sophia and Matt do. So before I actually begin, do you guys have anything to say about the royal family, and if you guys have any prior experiences? Did you ever have an obsession with the royal family, anything like that?
Yeah, one thing I never got was like why the royal family is still relevant. Cause like I never understood like why people are still obsessed with this like royal family idea and this like celebrity culture. I don't know. It never made sense to me because they're really just like a bunch of rich people with like fancy names.
Yeah, I was
And it's
actually thinking about that. How they have almost no political power anymore, but it's their social influence that really drives their entire, I guess, movement in a way. So, first off, I want to talk a little bit about Meghan Markle and her experience with mental health. So she talks a little bit about how she felt a little bit trapped inside of the royal family. So Meghan Markle said in one of her interviews, "I just didn't want to be alive anymore, and that was a very clear and real and frightening constant thought. And I remember how Harry just cradled me. I went to the institution and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help, and I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution." And so that is something that Meghan Markle said in her interview with Oprah Winfrey, and it kind of said a lot about how the royal family treats mental health and some of the stigmas of mental health in that society. So, do you guys have anything to say about that?
I think that the opinion that the royal family sort of had on mental health is like, I mean, like we were saying before, how they have a lot of social impact on like societal norms, not necessarily political. And I think that them sort of taking that stance of stigmatism against mental health and how it would like sort of tarnish the image of the royal family speaks volumes and may potentially like persuade people to sort of regard it in the same way. So I don't really support that. And I don't agree with that opinion, but yeah, I feel like that could be a potential repercussion.
Yeah,
I think like them like saying basically saying that like you're not allowed to seek mental help if you have some sort of mental illness or even just like any sort of like I feel like they're trying to promote an image of like a perfect royal family and for people that maybe grew up like as a royal member it might be accustomed to that kind of pressure and scrutiny but for someone like Meghan Markle who like is married into the family I feel like it's very a lot of pressure on her to act a certain way and just be a certain way.
a very good point. So in the interview, when Harry was asked would he have left the royal family if it wasn't for Meghan Markle, he said the answer to your question is no. I wouldn't have been able to because I myself was trapped. I was trapped, but I didn't know I was trapped. Like the rest of my family are, my father and my brother. They are trapped. They don't get to leave, and I have huge compassion for that. And so that kind of bounces off the idea that for a lot of people that are in the royal family, they are so accustomed to that lifestyle that they didn't even don't even realize that they're stuck in that state of mind and in that societal expectation that they shouldn't receive help for their mental health, and that they are expected to be this perfect family. Um, in terms of racism within the royal family, which was touched upon quite a lot during the Oprah Winfrey interview. Um, the first instance was when Meghan Markle starts to get into uh, protection for her child. So when she was talking about her pregnancy, she said that in those months when I was pregnant, we have in tandem the conversation of, you won't be given security, you're not going to be given a title, and there were also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born. And so, as we know, Meghan Markle is half African American and half white, and so that struggle of racial tension within the Buckingham Palace also came to surface over the interview. So, Sophia, do you have anything to say about that?
I think it's sort of like, again, she didn't say specifically who was asking her those questions or prompting those conversations. So there's a lot, I know there's a lot of speculation about who it may have been, or like who specifically in the family. But I think regardless, it's again just like promoting a certain way of thinking to society from these people who have a huge platform and a huge like following among people across the world, and now them sort of, well, I guess not intentionally promoting this sort of racism because they weren't thinking that this would get out, but I think that the fact that it's been exposed, people are definitely losing sort of respect for them.
Yeah. Um, and I kind of like how you brought up the point that they never expected that this would ever be exposed. Because no one expected that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would ever leave their place in the Buckingham Palace, that they would leave the royal family, come to America, and then expose some of the things that have happened and have most likely been happening in that family for a very, very long time. Matt, do you have anything to add about racism and expectations of the family when Meghan Markle was pregnant with her uh, child?
Yeah, this whole incident kind of just reminds me of the antiquated nature of this royal line and royal family because um, throughout history, the royal families have inbred and bred and married their cousins and sisters and brothers to maintain their idea of purity and royal like purity, and it also factors into race a lot. Um, European monarchs are usually white, and I think there's this history of trying to keep the family like white, and it also just reminds me of sort of almost like a remnant of British imperialism because if you look back during history and there's this white man's burden, like with all different colonies of Britain and how they believed that they were superior just because they were white, and this racism is just pervaded throughout the institution of royal family itself. Maybe it's not like directly, as Sophia said, they're not like really directly trying to be racist, but there's definitely some racist roots that are still present clearly in the royal family.
Yeah, and I believe that that was sort of caught in the interview. The other thing I wanted to go into was how Meghan Markle expressed concerns about her child not receiving a title and not receiving security. And I don't know if you guys want to go further into that and how she felt because of the fact that her child may not receive a title.
I don't know that much about like this particular conversation that was happening. So I feel like it would sort of after them leaving the family. So I don't know that she was like necessarily like um like expecting a title and protection while they were still members of the family or like as they currently stand. But I feel like if she's sort of asking for like a title and protection now, it's maybe I could sort of understand the royal family's hesitation, seeing as they, left. But previous to that, like while they were still living in London and sort of a part of the family, I think that it's definitely, um, or not definitely, but could potentially have like roots in this sort of um, racism issue.
Matt, you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, I think it's just like they obviously she's an outsider, but they continually reinforce the idea that she's an outsider. I mean, we've seen with like Princess Diane and that whole episode how like cruel the royal family can be sometimes, and the fact that Meghan Markle is half African American and from America just makes it worse.
Well, also, now that Matthew brought up Princess Diana, I know Prince Harry was saying that he was seeing the treatment towards Meghan Markle. He was seeing parallels between that and the treatment of his mother, Princess Diana, which I think he said was one of the reasons why he decided to leave because he didn't want the same thing happening to her. So he was sort of seeing history repeat itself. So it's clearly something that's like it's not some sort of fluke. And you can't obviously pin it all on the fact that she's half African American and half white because it's clearly it's more than that. It's like Matthew said, them being outsiders to the sort of little circle of the monarchy.
Right. The other thing I want to touch upon is Prince Harry, and when he talked about how his family is also stuck in the royal family mindset. Because he said the saddest parts, I guess, was when over 70 members of parliament, female members of parliament, came out and called out the colonial undertones of articles and headlines written about Meghan. Yet no one from my family ever said anything over those 3 years, and that was a response to people who have written racist articles about Meghan Markle. A lot of people in power, females in power, came out and spoke against the racist undertones of the articles about Meghan Markle, and yet his family never said anything about that. And I think that's just significant because it shows the kinds of the mindset that the royal family holds, and how they can't even stand up for their own daughter-in-law. Do you guys have anything to add about that? No.
Well, I think it just is another reinforcement of everything that's sort of been exposed or has come out about them. And I think that their silence alone and unwillingness to um, come to her defense just like sort of like I said reinforces everything that Meghan Markle has said that they've done or said to her.
Right. Um, my question to you guys is, what was your most favorite, and least favorite part of the interview, and why?
I don't know if I have a favorite part or least favorite part. I think it's just all the same.
I feel like one part that I guess stood out to me was how Megan was very like unwilling to say specifically who was bringing up like the darkness of her baby's skin and sort of like having these conversations, and Harry came in and he seemed willing to sort of name drop people. He didn't seem like afraid to like truly expose the family, I guess, and like take it to the next level almost. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually agree with. I was thinking about that too, because Meghan Markle was honestly, in my opinion, very respectful and wanted to make sure that no one was exposed. Uh, no one person was exposed to the things that they may have done to her that caused her to leave the royal family, and I think it just shows a lot of. I just have a lot of respect for Meghan for not exposing anyone. The fact that Prince Harry was a little bit more willing to expose, I don't know what that is exactly. That could be some sort of inner hatred towards his family that may have caused him to leave. Um, but honestly, it's a little bit shocking how someone of such high power in Britain would leave everything behind. Um, so one of the reasons why Prince Harry said that he left was because he said, "By that point, I took matters into my own hands. It was like I needed to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, my wife's, and for Archie's as well." Um, just again, it reinforces the idea that the royal family may not be all that great. It may have the same issues, the same problems, the same struggles as some of the issues that we have with our family sometimes too. Um, and that idea that the royal family is a perfect family that needs to represent maybe even uh, the white man's burden. They need to represent and reflect their own uh, country by showing how perfect they are. In a way, I want you guys. I want to hear what you guys have to think about this. But how do you guys think that the royal family affects teenagers that live in the UK and all around the world? In terms of how they reacted to the mental health and racism of uh, their daughter-in-law.
I mean, I can't really speak precisely for teenagers in the UK, but I know that like on social media, a lot of teenagers were sort of posting saying how well condemning the royal family and sort of almost scolding themselves, saying like how could you idolize these people and then have it sort of turn out like this. A lot of people were actually bringing up the Netflix series The Crown, which focuses on the royal family. And I don't know, I've never watched it, so I don't all I know is that it's about the royal family, but I'm not sure if it's 100% true or if it's loosely based. Like I don't know how sort of realistic it is. Um, but a lot of people were bringing up like I guess some things that happen in the series show the imperfections of the family, and some people were saying how it sort of makes them believe that the things that happen in the series were true because it's very similar to sort of what's happening now as far as um like you said how just familial problems, they're not exempt from those, even though they want to maintain this societal status and reputation as some kind of like idolized perfection model family.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I've never seen The Crown. I don't know if it's loosely based or if it's very well done. What I do know is the other side of the argument, and people, critics of Meghan Markle, were saying that um, Meghan Markle should have expected this kind of tension uh, prior to her joining the royal family. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, she definitely should have expected it, but that doesn't make it okay. So people like, I feel like the royal family to me seems like just a fad almost, because you have probably like a bunch of teenagers or old people or middle-aged people who are actually obsessed with the royal family, who like know their names, know their birthdays, that kind of stuff. And that's a very small percentage. But the media still publishes a lot of things about the royal family, And even though majority of people, I would say, probably don't really care about the royal family. So I think a lot of times people just stir up controversy just to give the royal family a headline. So saying things like Meghan Markle should have expected this kind of thing is almost like saying like you should expect to die at the end of life. Like you should, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to die now, or that doesn't justify like racism or any type of treatment that the royal family gives out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's expected to a certain extent. Like I know that she had to stop like painting her nails colors, or like she was only allowed to wear certain things out of the house or post certain things online, which I think things like that I would have expected coming into the royal family. But it's it's another thing to be treated um differently based on your race and ethnicity, and have like your mental health put in jeopardy because of the family. So I don't think that should be something she expected or something that's normalized by any means.
And that's a really good point. No one should have to. Yeah, you can expect something, but the fact that um, you are being, publicly called out for your race and stuff, it's just not. It's not right. Uh, the other thing was Meghan Markle, before she entered the royal family, she said that she didn't know a lot about it. When she was growing up, she didn't really learn too much about it. She just sort of knew that it was there. Um, One of the things that I found really interesting from her interview was when she said that her wedding was like an out of body experience. She said that they were both, her and Harry were both very aware. However, they didn't feel like it was their day. They felt like it was planned for the world, and that kind of highlights how the royal family is not really uh, meant to be private. It's meant to be for the people, and that sort of expectation, I understand, can be quite mentally and physically exhausting on someone. So, honestly, in my opinion, I don't know how uh, they were the first people to leave, because it's the the royal family has been around for so long, and the fact that they were the first people to leave is just, it's very surprising. I think it
Yeah.
would have been earlier.
I feel like it may have, like, if Princess Diana hadn't died when she did, I think that maybe she may have potentially left because a lot of the treatment um was similar. But yeah, I well, okay, didn't they Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, didn't they get married like privately before the big ceremony? I think she said that
I
they,
I think so. I think it was like 3 days prior to the actual
yeah, I
ceremony.
think they had a private um ceremony, and then had the one that was sort of like broadcasted on like worldwide television for everyone to see, and had like everyone's eyes on them, which can be romanticized. I feel like people are like, oh my god, I want to be famous, or I want to be a princess, like, and have this desire to sort of be in the public eye, or like be a part of the royal family. But I feel like her experience goes to show that it's very different than, I guess, what some people make it out to be, and it's a lot more harsh and, I guess, restrictive than like, and complex than it's made out to be.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the fact that the idea of being in the royal family can be romanticized. Um, Honestly, in my opinion, people have always been romanticizing celebrity life. Even to this day, when you go on the comments of Charlie D'Amelio's latest TikTok, you're gonna see people that were like, "I wish I had her life. She's so lucky. She has 100 million followers on TikTok. I wish I was her." And so that idea of romanticizing things always has been prevalent in our society. Um, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have such a great life, and that they aren't vulnerable to mental health issues, to other issues, physical issues, uh, yeah, so that just it all ties together pretty well. So thank you guys, thank you Sophia and Matt for joining me today in our discussion of the royal family drama. I do appreciate you guys coming out today. These two are great staff writers, and hopefully next year we'll see them going for some board positions, and maybe they'll be up here where I am today. So yeah, until next time, okay, let's go.